The legend has it, and I think it's true, your wacky glove thing that you did for the back half of your career is born because you were tipping pitches. Is that correct?
Yeah, very true. I was actually it evolved out of me now throwing a split finger fastball, and I started throwing it as I was closing. But then when I went back to pitching out of the rotation, I started throwing out of the windup again. Tyler Colvin, ex-teammate and outfielder for us, he said, "Can I stand in while you throw a bullpen?" And so I was throwing my bullpen. So a few weeks before the start of spring training in 2008, and he says, "I can tell that you're every time you're going from your split out of your grip, it's either a fastball or slider because your wrist is moving." And I was like, "Whoa, okay." So then I didn't know what to do. I'm like, "What do I do with this?" And I went home, and Kevin Millar lived down the street from me in Arizona, and he was like, "Hey, Eric Bedard had some tipping issues, and he kind of wiggled his glove a little bit." And so I just took it into my own hands and started wiggling my glove a little bit, and ended up being kind of a neutralizer to stop people from seeing where I was tipping that pitch. But it happens, man. People are good. They're good at finding it. So I had to do something to protect myself.
Now, outside of Colvin pulling you aside, did you have a moment where you threw it and out of your hand you're like, "Oh, this is a good one," and somebody just got it, and then you thought to yourself that shouldn't have happened, or you questioned your talent or your ability, or where you were in a way like, "Yeah, that didn't make any sense for somebody to know that was coming like that"?
Yeah. Oh no, for sure. There was times where, like, especially when you face like veteran teams. Like I remember being, a young guy and facing, the Braves or the Cardinals, and they were loaded, and they had these guys where you'd throw a pitch and how does the guy lay off that pitch? And whether or not that's sequencing, like maybe you fell into a pattern, or, there's different everybody talks about pitch tipping as far as they see something with, your glove or the index finger that sticks out of the hole in the glove. The guys used to pick that up on a changeup, or they fan their glove on a changeup. There's also tipping as far as patterns you fall into. So, it's multifaceted. It's kind of that chess piece that goes on in the game. And I played with some guys like John Mabry, who a former Cardinal, played with the Cubs for a bit. He'd have guys in no time. I remember Jim Edmonds. You want to talk about tipping pitches? Jim Edmonds facing Dave Bush with the Milwaukee Brewers. Dave Bush used to wear the high socks, kind of a funky delivery. Comes in after his first at-bat, and he says, "I got him." We're like, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, I got his changeup, and he's going to throw me one, and I'm going to hit it in their bullpen." And the next at-bat, he goes up there, and Dave Bush throws him a changeup, and he hits it in their bullpen. So, I mean, guys are good at it. They're really good, and it's hard to know. And guys don't like to tell guys, because if you go on another team, all of a sudden it's like, "Oh, yeah, this guy knows you're tipping." So it's also kind of a secretive thing at times with players on teams, because they don't want to give away that tell.
Wow. So there's a lot of stuff there. I love Bernstein's question about the humanity of it, where you're questioning your own soul, because Michael
Done that a few times.
Right, Michael Kopech is looking like, "What am I doing wrong? What the hell is this?" And if you don't find out, that could really throw you off during the course of a career. It could probably ruin some guys if they don't realize they're doing it, or nobody tells them along the way. Ryan?
Oh, 100%. Some guys, I've seen guys' careers literally never recover, because probably a little bit of, a combination of the mental beating they take because they can't figure out how to get anybody out, and not maybe even ask the question. Like, I started to learn early on from listening to hitters. If I found a hitter I trusted, I like say, "Hey, like, am I tipping at all? Do you see anything?" Because it's a little bit of preventative maintenance as well. And, it can really hurt you. Like, I remember when we were at the Red Sox in 2013, and I know it's simple because there's only two pitches he threw, but we had R.A. Dickey, whether we knew he was throwing a fastball or his knuckleball. Well, if you can eliminate a knuckleballer's other pitch, it can get really ugly for a guy. And every time he threw a heater, it got tattooed, and we just rocked him all season long. And, that's one of those things where, it really can mess with you, man. You'd be surprised how many guys know a guy is doing something, never tell anybody, and completely own them their whole entire career. and maybe only tell their close personal friends, and they have a field day and eat his lunch too. So it's a part of the game. It's a lot of fun. It's a part of the nuance of the little things in baseball that can make a big difference.
So Demp, the way that Kopech was doing it sounds like it's a little similar to the way that you were doing it, which is changing your grip, manipulating the baseball in your glove. Kopech's glove is rising off of his hand as he is manipulating the grip, because a knuckle is pushing the glove up and he doesn't realize it's happening, or something like that. What are some of the other ways that pitchers tip?
Yeah, I mean, you can have a big one was always the guys who throw changeups. When you got your whole hand in there on the ball, they fan their glove with, they spread their glove out. So, like, I know I talked with Maddox about that, and Greg said, so I just fan my glove on every pitch because I don't want to do that and get caught doing that. There's different ways. Guys will maybe, like, when they're in the set position and they come set with their hands together, they hold their hands higher on a breaking ball than a fastball, or vice versa. Some guys will. There was one, because he was one of the best, Jim Edmonds. He caught a guy who was taking deep breaths on his breaking ball. Like, who finds that? Like, that's some, like, deep diving stuff. That's some CIA spyware you're getting in there if you're finding that kind of stuff. But, like, believe me, you would be surprised. Michael Kopech is not the only pitcher that is tipping on that team or any other team in the league. It's just a matter of whether or not you can find it, because it's sometimes little tiny things that change when you change a pitch or a grip that alters something in your mechanics or something in your delivery or something in your glove. So the really good ones out there, the guys I played against, they find it, especially with technology nowadays, when you can overlay deliveries and kind of see where guys are holding their hands or holding their glove during, when they're in the set position. There's lots of different ways to discover it, and the good guys will find it.
I have had hitters tell me they've gotten a pitch off of the angle of the front shoulder, how quickly it comes open. I've had a hitter tell me about the landing foot, that sometimes if a guy's trying to get more torque, he might open up a little bit and change the angle of his landing foot, and that's something that they watch for. So what I was thinking, Demp, was with the return of the running game, with the bigger bases and with the disengagement rules, tipping isn't just pitches. It's also your move to first, whether or not you're actually going to pitch or whether you're going to make a throw. The best base stealers have all of those keys and all of those tells that they know. Maybe it's the angle of your back leg. Maybe it's the angle of how you drop your chin to your chest a little bit. So it's yet another thing. If we're going to start to see stolen bases come back, that's even more for pitchers to think about.
100%. You couldn't be more. True story. Derek Lee. I played baseball with Derek Lee with the Florida Marlins before they were the Miami Marlins. Then I come to Chicago and I played with D. Lee for another, 6 years. We played baseball together for 12 years. And in year 11, I'm going in the dugout after an inning, and he comes up to me and says, "Hey, you're tipping when you throw over to first." And I said, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, when you throw over to first, you're not looking. You look straight ahead, and when you're going to home, you look down." And I'm like, wait, D, we're buddies. Like, our kids have birthday parties together, and like we've been teammates for this long, and you're just now telling me? And he goes, yeah. He starts laughing. He goes, "I don't steal bases anymore, so I don't have to worry about it." And I'm like, God. What a teammate! I thought we were great friends, but you haven't told me all these years. But like, that's what happens. You're exactly right. The great base coaches out there, the Davey Lopes when he was coaching first base, the Perry Hill, the Rusty Kuntz, these guys who were coaching, they will find that and they will know and they will tell guys, "Hey, listen, get a good jump." Mike Napoli, he will find that. He will find if you're making a mistake somewhere in your delivery and how you throw over to first base. So yeah, it's multifaceted. It's not just hitting, and you still have to hit the pitch, but how do we change games on the base pass? And you see what's happening with stolen bases, and I guarantee you every first base coach out there is trying to find your tell there as well.
It's fascinating stuff here with Ryan Dempster on 670 The Score. Because, no, you're not going to tell your teammates because you might be on an opposing team. It's really freaking cruel, though, to let somebody...
The twist in the wind like that and suffer?
It's gaslighting. It really is. It's baseball gaslighting, dude. And it's like, this game is hard enough as it is. Have my back, man.
Especially when we played together for that long, like that's a lot of showers together. Like, and you haven't even you can't sit there and just give me a little clue. But I just love how his justification was that he doesn't steal bases anymore, so it no longer became an issue. I'm like, oh yeah. So I just so badly when he got to Pittsburgh. And he was playing there. I wanted him to get on first base, and I just wanted to pick over a bunch of times. It changed my luck. But he never got on first, so I had my payback.
So the easiest way to eliminate this is just to do the same thing every time, right? Repeatable mechanics, make it absolutely the same every single time. Is the technology too good now? Like, I don't know who picked up on Kopech. I don't know if San Francisco has a Jim Edmonds. Maybe Brandon Crawford is that guy. Maybe Jock Peterson is that guy. Or maybe their video assistant who's breaking it down during the game.
To do something during the game. There's rules against that. That's Astros stuff.
I don't know if that part of it is against the rules. Can you look at tipping in real time now? You can't steal signs, but stealing a tip or like reading a tip, that could be a team activity.
Yeah, no, it can. And what happens is too is the guys will see something. Maybe somebody sees something, and then they go, "Oh, let me go talk to so and so," and then they want video verification. So then they go to the video room and they look at it. Maybe it's leading up to it, but it's findable. I mean, for anybody, if they're picking up signs and knowing signs and what patterns guys fall into or what those signs are, how about this one? The bench coach or the manager who relays to the catcher what's to do with a runner on first base, right? Are we slide stepping?
Yep.
Are we throwing over? Who are all the managers in the big leagues for the most part? Catchers. So they all know the different patterns, the +1, the touch the ear first. How many can you really do? So now if you're looking and paying attention to that, now you might even know, I know when they're not throwing over, so let's go ahead and go. And now you can shout out somebody's first name, oh, come on, Nico. And then Nico can take off because he knows they're not picking over because somebody found the bench coach's signs to the catcher and deciphered they broke the Morse code and figured out what it is. There's just, it really is. That's why it's been going on for over 100 years. And ever since they've had signs and done all this, guys have been trying to figure them out just to get any kind of edge they can. So it's good for them for when they do find it. And it's pretty cool.